Let me tell you something nobody warns you about. At some point in your life, you're going to look in the mirror and ask, is this really who I am? There comes a moment in your life when you realize something quietly devastating and incredibly freeing at the same time. Nobody is coming to rescue you from yourself. No applause will teach you how to love who you are, no compliment will heal the way you abandon yourself in private, and no amount of attention will ever fill the space where self-respect is supposed to live. Self-respect is not arrogance. It is not loud. It does not announce itself when it enters the room. It is a silent agreement you make with your own soul that says, I matter enough to protect. It shows up in the way you speak to yourself when you fail. Do you become your own executioner or your own teacher? Because the voice inside your head is the one you will hear longer than any other in this lifetime. If that voice is cruel, no amount of success will ever feel safe. Self-respect is choosing not to beg for affection from people who only love you when you are convenient. It is walking away from tables where you are tolerated instead of celebrated. It is understanding that loneliness with dignity is far richer than company that drains your spirit. And here's the part nobody tells you. The world studies how you treat yourself before it decides how to treat you. When you cancel your own boundaries, people learn to ignore them. When you laugh at insults, people learn to keep throwing them. When you accept less than you deserve, life makes a habit of offering less. But something extraordinary happens the day you stop negotiating your worth. The day you say no without explaining yourself. The day you leave situations that make you feel small. The day you stop chasing validation and start building value, you become grounded. And grounded people don't need to prove anything. There is a calm confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you will no longer tolerate. It's not flashy, it doesn't seek attention, but it pulls people toward you the way gravity pulls planets into orbit. Because self-respect is magnetic, not because it makes you better than anyone else, but because it makes you whole. When you respect yourself, you don't need to dominate conversations to feel important. You don't need to overshare to feel seen. You don't need to perform to feel loved. You listen, you observe, you choose. And that choice is power. Let me tell you something that might sting a little. Every time you betray your own values to keep someone close, you teach your nervous system that love requires self-destruction. And every time you honor yourself, even when it costs you something, your mind learns a new language. The language of safety, the language of dignity, the language of strength. Self-respect is waking up and keeping promises you made to yourself when nobody was watching. It's taking care of your body not because you hate it, but because you're grateful it carries you through this life. It's forgiving yourself for being human without giving yourself permission to stay the same. And here's the secret. When you respect yourself deeply, you stop needing people to choose you. Because you have already chosen yourself. And that changes everything. People feel it when they're around you. They don't know what it is. They just know you're different. You don't cling. You don't chase. You don't beg. You stand. And the ones who recognize your value will meet you there. And the ones who don't, they were never meant to walk beside you anyway. Self-respect doesn't make your life easier. It makes you stronger. And strength is the most attractive energy on this planet. There is a strange lie we grow up believing. That confidence is something you're born with, that strong people wake up fearless, that disciplined people are just different. But the truth is much simpler and much more uncomfortable. Confidence is not a personality trait. It is a memory. It is the memory of every time you did what you said you would do. And discipline is how those memories are built. Discipline is not about being harsh with yourself. It's not about punishment or rigid schedules or becoming some cold, mechanical version of a human being. Discipline is the deepest form of self-respect. It is you looking at your future and saying, I'm not going to abandon you. Every small promise you keep to yourself rewires your brain. When you wake up when you said you would. When you finish what you started. When you choose effort over excuses, something quiet happens inside. Your mind starts to trust you. And trust is the foundation of confidence. Think about it. If you had a friend who constantly lied to you, canceled plans, made promises and broke them over and over again, would you rely on them? Of course not. Yet many of us do exactly that to ourselves. We say we'll change. We say we'll try. We say tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and we disappear. And after a while, your own mind stops believing you. That's where insecurity is born, not from how you look, but from how often you've let yourself down. Discipline fixes that, not in one dramatic moment, but in 1,000 invisible ones. It's choosing to get up when your bed is warm and your future is calling. It's turning off distractions when your dreams need your attention. It's showing up on the days when motivation forgot your address. And here's the miracle part. You don't feel confident first. You act disciplined first. Confidence is the reward. Every time you do the hard thing when nobody is watching, you build a quiet pride no compliment can replace. You walk a little taller. You speak a little slower. You doubt yourself a little less. Because deep down, you know something powerful. I can rely on me. That sentence changes a life. Discipline also does something else that people rarely talk about. It gives you control. And control is calming. When your habits are chaotic, your mind is chaotic. When you don't know if you'll keep your word, your nervous system stays anxious, always waiting for the next collapse. But when your actions become consistent, well, your mind relaxes. You stop panicking about the future because you trust the person who's going to meet it. And let me tell you something important. Discipline is not perfection. You will fail sometimes. You will fall off track. That's not weakness. The weakness is quitting because you missed a day. Real discipline is returning again and again. It's forgiving yourself without giving up on yourself. It's understanding that greatness is not built by intensity, it's built by consistency. And over time, something beautiful happens. The things that once felt impossible become normal. The version of you that once felt like a fantasy becomes familiar, and people start to notice. Not because you're louder, but because you're steadier. Not because you talk about your goals, but because your life starts proving them. Discipline makes you attractive in a way nothing else can. Because it tells the world this person is reliable. This person is strong. This person does not run when things get hard. And most importantly, it tells you, so if you want real confidence, don't chase it, build it. One promise, one choice, one disciplined moment at a time. And one day, you'll realize you're no longer trying to become strong. You already are. There is a moment in every life when something doesn't go the way you planned. Someone says something that cuts a little too deep. Someone disappoints you when you needed them most. Life throws a curveball and suddenly your chest is tight and your thoughts are loud and your heart is racing like it's trying to escape. And in that moment, you are standing at a crossroads. One path is reaction, the other is power. Most people think strength is about intensity, raising your voice, slamming the door, proving a point, showing the world how much you were hurt. But the real strength is silence. Not the silence of suppression, the silence of mastery. Emotional control is not about pretending you don't feel. It's about choosing what you do with what you feel, because feelings are honest, but reactions are optional. Let me tell you something that changed my life. You cannot control what happens to you, but you can always control what happens inside you. And the person who masters that is unshakable. Think about the people you admire most. They're not the ones who explode at every inconvenience. They're the ones who stay calm in chaos. The ones who listen when everyone else is shouting. The ones who can feel deeply and still think clearly. That kind of composure is rare, and rarity is attractive. Emotional control gives you freedom. Freedom from being manipulated by other people's moods. Freedom from saying things you can't take back. Freedom from letting one bad moment ruin an entire day. When you can pause, when you can breathe, when you can create space between the feeling and the action, you stop living like a puppet. And you start living like a leader. Because here's the truth nobody likes to admit. The fastest way to lose power in any situation is to lose control of yourself. The moment your emotions run the show, someone else is holding the remote. They can provoke you. They can distract you. They can pull you into drama you never needed to be part of. But when you are emotionally grounded, when your nervous system is calm and your mind is clear, people can throw storms at you and you remain the sky. This doesn't mean you become cold. It means you become wise. You still feel anger, but you don't let it decide your words. You still feel fear, but you don't let it decide your future. You still feel sadness, but you don't let it convince you that you are broken. Emotional control is not about shrinking your heart. It's about strengthening your center. It's learning that not every battle deserves your energy. Not every comment deserves your reply. Not every emotion deserves to become an action. Some things are meant to be felt and released. And here's the magic part. When you master your emotions, your presence changes, your voice slows down, your eyes become steady, your body relaxes, and people feel safe around you. They trust you. They listen to you. They respect you. Because in a world addicted to reaction, the calm person becomes the most powerful person in the room. Let me say this gently, you don't need to win every argument. You don't need to defend every misunderstanding. You don't need to prove your worth to people who don't have the capacity to see it. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is breathe, pause, and choose peace, because peace is not weakness. Peace is control, and control is real strength. So the next time life tries to pull you into chaos, remember this. You are not your emotions, you are the one who witnesses them. And the day you realize that is the day nothing outside you can ever fully break you again. There is a quiet kind of confusion that follows people through their lives. Not loud panic, not dramatic despair, just a soft you by you question whispering in the background of everything they do. Why am I here? And when you don't know the answer to that, you drift. You wake up tired even after sleeping, you move through your days busy but not fulfilled. You chase things that look important because you don't know what actually is. Purpose changes that. Purpose is not a job title, it is not a resume. It is not something you discover one afternoon and frame on the wall. Purpose is a direction. It is the reason you get up when quitting would be easier. It is the meaning you give to your struggle. When you know why you're here, your presence changes. You stop entering rooms asking, do they like me? And you start entering rooms thinking, what can I give? That shift is subtle, but it is magnetic. People feel it. Because nothing is more attractive than someone who knows where they're going. Purpose simplifies your life. Suddenly decisions become clearer. You don't say yes to everything. You don't chase every opportunity. You don't panic when someone else is ahead of you. Because you are not racing them. You are walking your own path. And here's something important. Purpose does not remove fear. It gives fear a reason. It doesn't erase doubt. It gives doubt a direction. When you care deeply about something bigger than your comfort, you find courage you didn't know you had. You show up on hard days. You keep going when motivation disappears. Not because you're strong, but because you're called. Purpose gives weight to your words. When you speak from something you believe in, people listen differently. Your voice becomes steadier. Your posture straightens. Your eyes stop searching for approval. Because you're not performing anymore. You're expressing. And that authenticity, that alignment between who you are and what you do creates presence. Not loud presence, not attention-seeking presence, the kind of presence that fills a room without asking for it. Let me tell you something gently. You don't need to have your entire life figured out to have purpose. Purpose can be small. It can be caring for one person well. It can be mastering one skill. It can be becoming a little better than you were yesterday. Purpose grows as you grow, but you must choose it every day. In the choices nobody applauds, in the moments nobody sees. And here's the beautiful part. When you live with purpose, you stop comparing your beginning to someone else's middle. You stop measuring your worth by likes, money, or applause. Because your value is no longer external, it's internal, it's rooted. And rooted people are hard to shake, they walk slower, they listen deeper. They don't rush to become someone elsey, because they're busy becoming themselves. Purpose also protects you from burnout, from bitterness, from the emptiness that comes from chasing things that were never meant to satisfy you. When life hurts, and it will, purpose becomes the anchor that keeps you from drifting into despair. It whispers, this pain has meaning, and meaning changes everything. So if right now you feel lost, good, lost people are looking, and looking people eventually find something real. Start by asking better questions. Not, what do I want? But who do I want to serve? And not, how can I be famous? But how can I be useful? Purpose is not about being extraordinary. It's about being intentional. And the moment you live with intention, you become present. And presence is one of the rarest, most beautiful energies a human being can carry. Because when you know why you're here, you don't need to announce yourself. Your life does it for you. There is a part of you that already knows the truth. The life you want, the person you imagine becoming, the strength you admire in others, when none of it lives inside comfort. Comfort is warm. Comfort is familiar. Comfort feels safe. And comfort is the quiet place where dreams go to fall asleep. Growth begins the moment comfort ends. Every time you stretch beyond what you know, your nervous system panics a little. Your mind starts listing reasons to stop. You're not ready? You might fail. People will judge you. And here's the secret. Fear is not a sign you're in danger. It's a sign you're in the right direction. Discomfort is the language of transformation. Your muscles only grow when they're torn and rebuilt. Your confidence only grows when it's challenged and survives. Your character only grows when life puts weight on your shoulders and you choose not to collapse. But most people run the moment it starts to hurt. They turn back at the first sign of uncertainty. They choose familiar pain over unfamiliar possibility. And then they wonder why nothing changes. Let me say something gently but honestly. If you want a different life, you have to become a different person. And becoming a different person is uncomfortable. It means letting go of identities that once protected you. It means outgrowing people who only knew the old version of you. It means walking into rooms where you don't feel confident yet, and staying. Discomfort humbles you, it shows you where you're weak, it shows you where you need to grow. And if you don't run from it, it teaches you. Think about the moments that shaped you the most. They weren't easy days, they were heartbreaks, failures, embarrassments, moments when you thought you wouldn't survive, and somehow you did. And after them, you were never the same, stronger, wiser, more aware. Pain is not the enemy. Avoidance is. The only tragedy is suffering that teaches you nothing. Growth asks for courage. Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. The courage to try again after you've failed. The courage to speak when your voice is shaking. The courage to walk away from what's comfortable because it's killing your potential. Discomfort also sharpens you. When everything is easy, you become dull. When everything is familiar, you stop paying attention. But when you are challenged, you become present. You learn faster. You listen deeper. You discover abilities you didn't know were hiding inside you. And here's something beautiful. The things that scare you now one day will bore you. The conversations you avoid one day you'll handle calmly. The challenges that feel impossible one day will be your warm-up. But only if you stay, only if you don't quit in the middle of becoming. Let me tell you something important. Growth is not loud. It doesn't always look heroic. Sometimes growth is getting out of bed when you're tired. Sometimes it's apologizing when your ego wants to fight. Sometimes it's choosing discipline over distraction. Sometimes it's walking alone for a while because the wrong company feels lonelier than solitude. And sometimes growth is simply not giving up on yourself, even when you're disappointed, even when you're confused, even when you're scared. Because the person you want to become is not on the other side of success, they're on the other side of fear. Waiting patient. Becoming stronger every time you choose discomfort over regret. So the next time your heart is racing, your hands are shaking, and your mind is screaming, turn back, smile. That's the sound of your life expanding. And one day, you'll look back at this moment and thank yourself for being brave enough to walk into the unknown and stay. There is a hunger in every human being that has nothing to do with food. A hunger to be seen, a hunger to be chosen, a hunger to be enough. And so many people spend their lives trying to satisfy that hunger by becoming someone else. They wear masks that smile when they're tired. They laugh at jokes that hurt them. They pretend to love lives that don't fit them. And the world applauds the performance while the soul quietly disappears. Authenticity is not a personality trait, it is courage. The courage to let people see who you really are without editing, without polishing, without apologizing. Because here's the truth. The more you pretend to be someone else, the more invisible you become. People may like the mask, but they will never know you. And being admired for someone you're not is one of the loneliest feelings in the world. Gratitude is what brings you back to yourself. When you slow down long enough to notice what is already here, your breath, your body, the people who stayed, the small miracles you once prayed for, something inside you softens. You stop chasing so desperately. You stop measuring your life against someone else's highlight reel. You realize that you are already standing in blessings you once begged for. Gratitude doesn't make you passive, it makes you peaceful. And peaceful people don't act desperate. Desperation repels, presence attracts. When you're grateful, your energy changes, your voice becomes warmer, your movements become calmer, and people feel it before they understand it. They feel safe around you. They feel seen. They feel welcome. And that is rare. Authenticity and gratitude together create something powerful. They make you real. Not impressive, not perfect. Real, and real people are magnetic. Because in a world full of filters and performances and comparisons, honesty feels like oxygen. Let me tell you something important. You don't have to be extraordinary to be loved. You don't have to be flawless to be worthy. You don't have to prove your value by exhausting yourself. The right people in your life will not fall in love with your sommet. They will fall in love with your presence, with the way you listen, with the way you laugh when you forget to be careful, with the way you care when nobody is watching. Authenticity also protects you. When you stop pretending, you stop attracting people who only love the performance. And yes, some people will leave. Some people won't understand. Some people will be uncomfortable with the real you. Let them go. Because every mask you remove makes space for someone who can love your face. Gratitude protects you too, from bitterness, from envy, from the endless race that never lets you arrive. When you are thankful for where you are, you stop poisoning your happiness with comparison. You stop resenting other people's success, you start cheering, and cheering changes your heart. It opens you. It reminds you that life is not a competition, it's a gift. And here's the quiet miracle. When you live with gratitude and authenticity, you stop trying to attract everyone, you only attract the right ones, the ones who see you, the ones who respect you, the ones who don't need you to be anything other than yourself. And suddenly relationships feel lighter, conversations feel easier, silence feels comfortable, because you're not performing anymore, you're present. So if you want to be truly attractive, don't try to be impressive, be honest, be thankful, be gentle with yourself, because the most beautiful energy a human being can carry is the energy of someone who knows they are enough, and is grateful to be here, and exactly as they are. If you got even 1% motivation from this video, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel Unstoppable Growth so that I can be encouraged.